North. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about the Dwarfs. Or Dwarves in the vernacular.
Let's do this.
It's going to be a board game week. On Friday, we got the Nerd NYC game night, as always. And on Wednesday, there's Muse Games game night.
Oh, snap. That's too many board games.
I'm going to both, though.
Are you?
This time, yeah.
I don't think I can go on Wednesday just because it would require, with bicycling, it's like,
You could take the subway.
that costs money.
Or bicycle down there.
See, this is like the dilemma here, right? If I get the unlimited subway card, it costs like $80.
Yep.
But basically, I'm free to just take the subway, whatever. I don't have to think about it, right? But now I'm riding the bike. So the bike means that I can take the subway less times per month. I guess 32 times per month would make the $80 infinite card worth it. If you go less than 32 trips, less than 32 swipes, actually, then the $80 unlimited card is not worth it.
Do you really care about the odd $2 or $3 randomly?
But the thing is, it's a lot of $2 or $3.
Well, then get the unlimited one and don't
think
worry
about this.
about it.
But no, think about it, right? So I'm still saving money, but because I didn't ride my bike today because there was a 30% chance of rain, it cost me like
Wait. 30% chance is not that likely.
The clouds are all bleh in the morning.
It was beautiful all day.
But not when I was going to work. So it cost me $7. So it's like, fuck. So now, on the one hand, I am saving money. I am spending less than $80 per month on MetroCard. But at the same time, I'm like conscious of every trip I take. Like, another trip. Grr.
See, I get the unlimited.
I could just not take that trip and save some money.
I rollerblade one way every day. So I'm already using half as many swipes as I would, but I get the unlimited anyway because it's just, I don't have to worry about it. I'm just always subway. I use the subway egregiously, outrageously. I use it when I shouldn't even use it. Like one day I was running and I was like, subway time. And I just took the subway home.
Uh-huh. I would if I had limited.
In fact, the other day it rained. I was in Bryant Park getting lunch. So I just went into that subway station and took the subway, the 7 from Bryant Park to Grand Central to get back to work.
Hey, why not? But, the thing is, it's like I'm trying to save some monies here. So if I get the unlimited, I'm not saving jack.
I can't feel like the difference is that much money between
it's
getting
like,
the unlimited or not.
Well, if I bike, right, 8 out of the 12 months of the year, right, 8 times $40 is $320.
But then you have to subtract every time it rains and every time you do anything in the city on a weekday.
Well, it's because that's taking into account basically. I'm not saying 80 times 8 months. I'm saying 40 times 8 months. See, I'm basically assuming I'm still going to pay $40 a month on MetroCard. So I'm saving like $320.
Well, as fascinating as that is, I did finally beat Might and Magic Clash of Heroes.
Oh, you actually beat it? Yeah, after I got to that boss that I couldn't beat, I stopped playing. Maybe I'll go back.
Every boss was pretty much trivial except the last one, because the last one I had to fucking level up for.
Yeah, no, but there was the necromancy one where you're supposed to use a certain item that I didn't use.
You don't have to use an item. She was a piece of... There was basically nothing to that battle. Just kill her.
I didn't when I played.
Or if you're a wuss, use the spider cloak and you'll basically
that's what I didn't know to use the spider cloak.
It seemed kind of obvious, though. It's crazily overpowered. It's like if you're playing Mario, right? And in World 8, right before Bowser, you have the option of, like it says, you can have a normal fire flower, or you can have a fucking hammer suit that we brought in from the future. Pick one. They're both equal in cost.
I think the reason I didn't pick it was because it gives you like twice double damage, but
it gives you plus 90% or plus 100% or some crazy amount to all your guys.
But it also makes your starting health like way low, right?
And then one vampire brings that all the way back up.
Yeah, I didn't use. That's the thing, is I messed up.
Even without that, think of it. No one.
I don't use the vampires.
Scott,
I use the skeletons and the zombies.
1, you're stupid. You should be using the vampire.
No.
2, the vampire, Scott, is with the ghost. It's a special guy, not a normal guy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't think I was using him at all. I was using like the Zmobby and the.
The zombie's a normal guy.
The Draco Lich.
But that's one of the double wide guys. What about your single wide guy? The only other option was the ghost, and the ghost sucks.
I don't know.
I don't think you put much thought into that game.
It was a long time ago. I haven't played it in a while.
You didn't get to the awesome demon level, which is pretty much the best level. The most fun is to be had there.
I don't know. I like the Knigget level.
That that one was okay. There wasn't that much going on though, and I didn't really like using the knights.
The thing is, there's way too many goddamn video games right now. It is not cool to give me so many video games, right? It's like Picross 3D came out for the DS. It's like, oh, fuck you.
So
right?
you're just playing a variant of Sudoku effectively.
No, Picross is far
Is
superior.
it a game?
Picross?
Is it a competitive game?
It's a puzzle.
Just a puzzle?
If you have a timer on it, then it becomes a game.
So why not just play Sudoku?
Because
an algorithm can. In fact, Scott, I have an algorithm that solves Picross. It's called Photoshop. Maybe Google image search.
Yeah,
I type in Fireflower and bam!
I don't know. But there's also I didn't buy that, by the way, but I probably will eventually. Also, right, I still have freaking the Edgeworth game that I haven't played at all. Right, it's just sitting there.
I didn't even buy it.
Yeah. I still haven't played New Mario Brothers, which I haven't bought either. From how long ago? It's probably still $50, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, that game's only worth playing if we have 4 crew people here to play it.
That's right.
And we've got 3 right now.
Yep. So then, the Street Fighter, which I actually am playing, and the reason I am playing that is because we got a nice crew going on. It's like if I go home tonight and turn it on, there's like a whole bunch of Xbox friends who are going to be on. We're getting a little endless game going on.
You know, I got to say to that, you assholes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to wait for it to come out on the fucking PC and have my little media PC with Steam and whatever and just play it there with my Windows. And now I think I got to buy a stupid Xbox. I was just going to wait like 3 or 4 years and get the next Xbox.
I think you have to realize that, part of the reason I bought an Xbox is that we realize it's not going to be like before. There's not going to be new consoles for quite a few years. These are going to live a long...
But what bothers me is that there's no reason... My PC is more powerful than an Xbox, and it's running Windows. There is no reason but the fact that they didn't do it, that Xbox Live isn't just the same on Windows, and that I can't just play every Xbox game on my Windows PC.
Yeah.
And it bothers me that I basically have to... And if I buy a stupid Xbox, I still got to make a freaking PC for the living room.
Yep. I have both, and then you got to pay $50 to get Xbox Live Gold at $50 a year if you want to play online. Yep.
I might do it anyway though, because I gotta say.
And then if you want a joystick, you got to pay $100.
I mean, I love fighting
Or
games.
you can get the non-good joystick.
I was never that
or
great
you can
at
get the
them.
gamepad with 6 buttons.
I'm just gonna get the Mad Cats. If I'm going all out. But I don't foresee a Bushido blade coming on the horizon.
No.
So I can't wait for that. I can't wait for my glory day to return.
Thing is,
there.
you've got a problem. Is people have been practicing this game already for weeks. It came out last week. You're behind.
Yeah, but the
How
thing
long
is,
is it going to take you to get all that stuff set up?
our group community is going to be much more fun to play than, say, the Smash Brothers community. Because online play,
The best thing is they have this endless mode, and the way endless mode works is you get, I think, 8, maybe 10 people, and they all join. And basically, everyone starts off, lined up in the order in which you joined. The 2 first people in the list fight while everyone else watches. And then the loser goes to the bottom, and the next person fights, and the loser goes... So it's like standing in the arcade. It's so awesome. And so basically you sit around and you just use your Xbox headsets and you just chat it up with everyone, discussing what's going on. Like, oh shit, he used a super, oh snap. Oh, you cheap using that, whatever. Everyone's chatting it up. You got like 10 people talking, voice chat and like a little conference while you watch people play Street Fighter. And then every once in a while, you play Street Fighter. And if you win, you just keep playing Street Fighter as long as you keep winning, just like the arcade. It's so awesome.
At work today, I was reading that thread and I was thinking, you know what? God damn it. And I almost just bought an Xbox right there online.
You better see. The thing is, if you want to get in quick, you're better off going to the store and getting one. It's the same price. Oh no, actually, Amazon probably has a big discount, don't they?
It's hard to say because I gotta compare because Best Buy.
Oh yeah, and I pre-ordered StarCraft 2, so I'm supposed to get a beta key sometime this week.
You're already fucked. Everyone I know at work who likes StarCraft, they've been playing some pirated ass leaked copy for the last month.
I'm already fucked because I just suck ass, but whatever.
You got to practice the turn-based games
and
first.
NS2 is gonna come out eventually, right?
Yeah.
So what's the fuck?
See, at least NS2 is definitely a ways out. I mean, you played that alpha. I played that, not even an alpha, that was a pre-alpha.
Yeah.
And
then I still have Sleep is Death sitting there that, I'm tweaking.
Yeah, well, I was poking at that because, sadly, my plan was to use it for a secret project at PAX West, PAX Prime. We can't divulge that yet, but for various reasons, I have pushed that back. So I have a whole year now to do the thing I was going to do with Sleep is Death, for the next PAX East. So that's basically at the bottom of the hopper right now.
Yeah. But look,
And
there's
of
so
course,
many goddamn games.
Yeah, Project Dwarf. Civ 5 is coming. We're fucked when that
Oh,
comes
fuck
out.
me. Right, that one.
But
Shit.
the worst part is, all the games that we're gonna play, it's not like they're all out right now. It's that not only are enough out
They're coming
right
out
now,
faster than I can play them. Is the
Yeah.
problem. It's like, Street Fighter I could just play only that and ignore all other games for quite some time because there's a lot to do.
luckily, Team Fortress 2 is beyond hope. It's an I have no son situation now, so you don't have to worry about that.
Why is this news now? We discussed that I think years ago.
Yeah, I didn't say it was news, but here's something. Imagine if
Why even bring it up?
Imagine if you had quit World of Warcraft because you realized it was just a grind, and then like 2 years went by. And one day you saw your account and you're like, let's go see what's going on in that grindy coffee bean game. And you logged in and they had and you saw like an update flash. It was like, there's been an update since you last played. And here's the new interface. And it was literally just a physical wheel you had to buy and spin to grind out levels. That is the equivalent of going back to play Team Fortress 2 now. That game is dead. I have no son. The worst part is, it is so crazy. There are more people playing that than playing Counter-Strike.
Yep.
What does this world come to?
People who don't play no skill games, except, right? We thought, people don't like games of skill. Well, there's
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
So,
that's
I don't
way
get it.
more a game of skill than like even Counter-Strike.
I think here's one reason why. Fighting games are a game that still exist in what few arcades they are. We were in that Mott Street Chinatown arcade. What was it? 100 fighting games, and Asians standing there playing them. There was a line of people waiting outside that arcade for it to fucking open so they could go in and play Street Fighter all day.
Yep.
There's no such thing as that for FPSs, so you already lose that avenue of getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, the consoles. On the console, you can still have a hardcore fighting game like Street Fighter. You can't have a hardcore FPS. It is absolutely impossible.
Oh, you're saying so if we could somehow make a hardcore console FPS, which is impossible, but if we could.
Or I think what would do it is if every game that was available on the Xbox was also available on any like Windows 7 PC or maybe Windows 7 Gaming Edition, some bullshit.
But it'd be like
that.
Team Fortress 2 where you have a mouse, but it's really just, an analog stick.
But if the Xbox stuff were on the PC, it would be possible to make a game aimed at those PC people that was the straight up hardcore. And people would see it.
But any FPS game, the aim situation, it totally, they won't make a game with precise Quake aim because then you'll be unplayable on a console.
So I think the moral here is we need Capcom to find like John Romero's corpse and reanimate it. I don't think he's actually dead.
Far from it.
But imagine if Capcom just made a new hardcore FPS.
Capcom doesn't know how to make an FPS for shit.
I know, but they know it's said the people who know what to do
What you should
are
get-
not the people who can
No.
do it.
What you do is you get the Capcom art team to work with Valve on an FPS. Oh, no, wait, but Valve made Team Fortress 2, but Valve also made good FPSs.
The worst part is Valve they know how to make a good FPS, but they also know how to make an FPS that makes money. And if you know how to do both, it's like if I know Magic Missile and Fireball, and I can cast them an equal number of times. What am I going to cast?
Anyway.
I guess unless I'm fighting a ghost.
Too many goddamn games coming out. I got another one in my news to discuss.
So, speaking of games and speaking of Street Fighter, this may be news to some of you. I would hope that you all know about this, but I'd heard about it. I didn't know what it was until I finally, it was everywhere, and I just looked at this stupid article and watched the trailers. Street Fighter Legacy is not a game. It's a movie based on Street Fighter.
Oh, we don't have enough of those.
Being made by Joey Ansah, who is a for real Hollywood guy. And
We don't have any of those. We've never seen this before.
so before you doubters doubt, and before you haters hate, you need to check out these trailers because I've never seen a trailer for a video game movie in any capacity that looked
I've
as good
never
as
seen a
this.
trailer that looks as good as the one for Kasan.
God, I remember that.
All right, I win that argument.
All right, so I think this guy knows what's up. There's a lot of crazy, surprising Hollywood talent is behind this. It's a short film. It is coming out Thursday, as in 2 days from now.
In real movie theaters?
No, on the internet for free.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to quote for you exactly what the guy who made this had to say, because this gives me hope. Just like when the guy who made Bionic Commando Rearmed said his little thing about what he liked about Bionic Commando, and we all knew what was up, and we knew that he knew what was up.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, as an actor, filmmaker, and a fan, I've been repeatedly disappointed by the many diluted, unfaithful, and outright butchered movie adaptations of fighting video games. It was clear to me that given the way the movie industry worked, we would never see a super faithful, darker toned, more adult themed, or just plain good incarnation of Street Fighter unless a diehard fan director or filmmaking team with the game canon knowledge, filmmaking know-how, and the connection stepped up to the plate and made it happen. So basically, it's kind of a Robert Koo situation. You've got someone who's brilliant in one realm, like already a professional, already knows what's up, but is also a fan of, like a real fan of some other thing that does not have talent like that in the realm. And when you combine those two, magic happens. So I withhold judgment until Thursday. I'm almost willing to call this guy the Robert Koo of making Street Fighter movies happen.
I don't know about that.
And he got the director of Top Gear to help him do this, Owen Trevor.
Okay.
Yeah. Seriously, watching these trailers, I'm legitimately excited.
Okay. So, you ready for another game to eat up your time? Oh, yeah, but there's like a Tecmo Bowl on on the 360, like it's Tecmo Bowl Retro or something, remake. And there's also...
You listeners might not realize it, but I actually really, really like football games.
Football games are the best.
Just not recent football games.
Not Madden, but anything,
Remember Madden on the Wii?
Quarterback Club. Yeah, anything like that is good. Here's another game to eat up your time here. So apparently they're coming out with a game called Castlevania Harmony of Despair, which is HD, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes is going to be on the 360 also. There's another game. So
every turn, Dave Riley was like, what game should I play? And I was like, Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. He was like, yeah, I'll just wait for it to come out on the Xbox.
So Castlevania HD Harmony of Despair. I always love how they do that. Like DS, they did Dawn of Sorrow, right?
Well, Portrait of Ruin didn't really do much.
PR.
Yeah, but what did that stand for?
It doesn't matter. It's just a funny joke they do.
You know what it stood for? Not as good as
So
DS.
there's a rumor that went out, and it's looking, there was like a leaked document that was then unleaked or whatever, but basically the rumor is, and it's pretty good rumor, is that this is going to be a Castlevania just like the DS ones and the GBA ones, but it's going to be a 6-player simultaneous co-op multiplayer Metroidvania game. And apparently there are screenshots indicating that the Aria of Sorrow character, Alucard, the Portrait of Ruin character, the Order of Ecclesia character, another Portrait of Ruin character will all be playable. So like 6 different characters from the GBA and DS series.
But all I want is Simon and Trevor.
All together, well, they didn't say they're not in there, but
yeah, but I can't trust that.
It's going to be an Xbox Live Arcade game where you get all these Castlevania. Basically, it's like Symphony of the Night where everyone's playing at once, and that is like the best thing ever. So if that's Konami, that's not even Capcom, so quite surpurring.
God, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying an Xbox tonight.
Just tonight?
Yeah. I'll just go and get one. Damn it.
All right.
I just bought a freaking gaming PC too.
Hey, I just bought a new laptop, but I'm not using that to play games. Only to, I might, but
Civ 5.
Oh yeah, by the way, like Linux Steam. We want to talk about that. Mac and Linux Steam. I mean, we talked about Mac Steam, but now there's screenshots of Linux Steam.
Well, here are predictions about that. The fact, I mean, it's been talked about that this was happening for a long time, but the news is kind of just that it's actually happening more than we expected it to.
Yeah, it's something that I should have predicted because it was sort of obvious that, people don't realize this, but the old Steam client, right, which is pretty much the one that was around a couple weeks ago until they just switched it just now, was heavily integrated with Internet Explorer. Like if you opened up Steam, the store that you were looking at was actually just steampowered.com, and it was used, Internet Explorer was built into it. So what they did is they recently upgraded the Steam client, so it's now based on the WebKit browser, which is what's in Safari and Chrome, not Firefox. And so now, so it's like, okay, they finally made it better. And you think the reason they would do that is just because IE sucks. But it's like, no. Obviously, the reason to do that is so that you can get the Steam client to run on something besides Windows. But if you use IE, you can't,
That wouldn't be enough. What I expected, perfectly honestly, even when this was all like announced for real and not just a rumor, I expected them to make it available, and only a handful of games would get ported.
Yeah, like they would sell Linux games or they would sell Mac games in the Mac one, but And the thing is, it looks like they're actually going to port the Valve games, and not only that, but it's like if you legitimately own them, then you legitimately get them. I bought Half-Life 2, so if they port Half-Life 2 to Linux and I install Steam on Linux, I download it again, just like I always do. I have to pay for it.
Now,
again.
what's interesting is think about this. Imagine 4 years from now, let's say, if Steam just works on all 3 major OSs. Well, maybe all 2 major OSs, and you can choose which one I'm leaving out based on your personal preference, but. That really kind of sideswipes if Microsoft in the long run is trying to make the Xbox/Windows gaming platform their thing, because Steam would kind of work on everything. And gamers trust Steam a lot.
Yeah, I think it just really encourages people, especially people making small indie games or whatever, if Steam runs on Mac and Linux, it encourages you, if you're making a game to sell on Steam, to also make sure your game works on Mac and Linux.
Yeah.
So that you can get, more sales. And of course, they're going to have all the statistics about how many installs are out there with, OS X and Linux. But I think it's going to be a slight chicken and egg situation where, there really aren't any games out for the Linux or the OS X. People are still only using the Windows Steam, so no one's going to make games for the, Mac and Linux Steam unless it's going to be enough extra sales to be worth it.
But Valve is obviously going to push this by porting all their games.
Yeah, so that might, right, if there's some people out there, it's like a slight crack in the eggshell of the chicken eggs problem, right? Some people who are currently using Windows just for gaming, might go, aha, I finally have Steam on Apple, or I finally have Steam on Linux, and they'll switch. And that slight switching will upset the numbers a little bit, and then it will slowly move, and maybe eventually, right, X years down the line, there'll be some sort of, miracle where there's just enough games that run on not Windows that, all the gamers won't have any reason to use them. And if the performance gets better on OS X and Linux than it is on Windows, then you're going to see some crazy shit happen.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I think the big problem, though, is DirectX rather than Steam.
I don't foresee anyone making a cross-platform equivalent of DirectX anytime soon.
No, it's not going to happen. It's called OpenGL. It's not really the equivalent.
Things of the day. It's been all over the place, but it's surprisingly high quality. There's the Super Mario crossover. Basically, you can play Mario 1, as far as I can tell, much of, if not all of the way through it, as Mega Man or Samus or
And you
Simon
get to switch
Belmont.
characters every level, too.
Yeah, but the best part about this is people have done this a million times over. It wouldn't be notable if someone had, you can play the first level of Mario 1 as Spider-Man from the Atari 2600. Every character pretty much controls exactly like the character, exactly like they did in the game they're from.
Well, except for some changes, like
Little things like
double jumping Simon Belmont.
and Link can jump.
Yeah.
Granted, it's weird that they did Zelda 1 Link, because Zelda 2 Link actually would have worked really, really well.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting to use Zelda 1 Link, because it's like Zelda 2 Link is so similar to like Belmont or
Yep.
Metro.
Basically, though,
Samus.
it's so surprisingly well executed that it's well worth checking out. Do not pass this up.
All right, well, Street Fighter's been pretty much the focus lately in terms of video games. So I have for you a simple YouTube video, not anything very exciting. It is the world record Street Fighter 4 combo.
Oh man, Scott showed this to me. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So,
I mean, he warms up a
I've
little
seen
bit.
some crazy combos. This is the craziest combo, and it is a world record. So there you go.
I don't know if I could deal with that combo if it was put before me.
I definitely could not deal with it.
I mean, the last time I had a combo like that was, God, I was in like high school.
I've never had a combo like that.
So, Dwarves, which
Yeah.
have vaguely Scottish accents most of the time, but not always.
Well, we've talked about Dwarf Fortress on the show quite a bit.
And at PAX, I mean, as you recall, the Losing Should Be Fun panel basically starts and ends with Dwarf Fortress.
Yep. So, we were, after our last Burning Wheel campaign ended, we tried to start up some new stuff. Some people are trying to do some Burning Dark Sun. Some other people are trying some other action. But, I was looking for an idea of something that would actually catch on.
It was Sale, right, from the forum?
No, it was Water
was
is
it?
Poison.
Water is Poison.
He has all the ideas. So anyway, he's like, hey, I got an idea. Burning Wheel, Dwarf Fortress. And I'm like, oh shit. people would actually play that.
Well, didn't he present it more like here? Because the way you presented it to me was, so check out this idea for a burning wheel scenario. 7 dwarves go out to form a fortress, strike the earth.
Yeah.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
It's too perfect.
Well, it's supposed to be 6 dwarves, but and it was weird because like I thought it would be 6. And then we ended up with 4, and I'm like, oh, it's not 6 like I wanted, but you know what? 4 is gonna be very manageable.
And then Phil and Chia came
and
out
then
to
there
visit.
was like 7 people, and I'm like, fuck.
And Steve, it was perfect though.
Yeah,
It
was
worked
good.
out absolutely perfect.
There's still a few too more people that I could handle.
Yeah, well, you'll get better. You haven't DM'd too much in recent history.
That's all
I
right.
mean, your last foray into that was the Kobolds Ate My Baby game.
Does that count?
I would count it.
I don't think that the thing is I blame partially the players in that game who are not
The players who tried to do cool stuff and everything they did, you said, no, that wouldn't work.
because that's not how this game play Kobolds Ate My Baby works.
So how does Kobolds Eat My Baby work?
It's a retarded game. You're just supposed to go around and try to get the. It's like playing zombies, basically. You're not really supposed to try to role play it up the rule.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
You got nothing to say, Captain Game Master? We played Burning Dwarf Fortress, which is the inevitable conclusion of any game of Dwarf Fortress.
yeah, I was wondering, you think on paper that it would work really well, and then we played it, and for the most part, it actually did work really well, just like we thought it would. The thing is, like, I had to try to find a balance between the burning wheelness and the dwarf fortressness. It's like, should I make them like count all the resources they have? No.
To a degree, we should, though. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it's
keeping
like- it's
track of, like, I've cut some really nice limestone.
Yeah, it's like you got to remember that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, am I gonna have should we count like how many barrels of nog, or should it just be all right, the nog is good this year? Or,
Actually, what I was thinking is the way to go about that is to have a resources stat for each major thing, or maybe just a resources stat overall. That is the character that has the stat is the fortress. So, like, you do things to basically level up the stats for food and wealth and dwarves.
I think it's best to just basically keep it as a in the rules, right? If you have 0 resources, someone's supposed to give you a loan of a temporary res point. So I think that having like a good is sort of like having a temporary res point, right? So if you make something that's a perishable or disposable good or something that you're going to trade away, they just make this big pile of temporary resource points that could be used.
Well,
for
it's tough
things.
because half the fun of Burning Wheel of Dwarf Fortress is the minutia, and the other half is watching everyone eventually die of some horrible situation.
That part worked really well.
God, how could we fail such a low obstacle after having rolled so many dice?
Yeah, I mean, it was
twice.
It was kind of hard for me because I was like trying to gauge the obstacles, and the thing is, you're not 5 life paths, you're 4, so you're not that powerful, but you're pretty powerful.
Well,
and
the difference between 4 and 5 is the difference between like Artificer and Master of Arches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I didn't give you 4, you wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So I had to give you 4. And, you've got all kinds of forks and arthas and things. So you're just getting shit done that you wanted to get done. And
Nobody took my favorite trait, though, remarkable flatulence.
yeah, I couldn't really justify higher obstacles and a lot of these mundane tasks, but I needed you to fail for awesomeness to happen.
Well, no, I think the point is no matter what you do, if you keep introducing things, success will just raise the bar for failure. Like, the more you succeed, the more catastrophic failure will be in the long run.
Yeah, but I need to get you to do stuff that's, harder, such that, there actually will be a failure. Otherwise,
But
it
we
just
failed
never-
immediately.
Yeah,
Had everything
but
that
only one
mattered.
person failed. I felt like everyone else was just succeeding way too much.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like I got to gauge what the correct obstacles should be better. It's actually like the hardest part of GMing Burning Wheel is figuring out like what the obstacle should be.
Well, it's tough
and
with
having it be correct.
It is tough with the front row crew because people tend to. Our Burning Wheel games are very specific in that certain sets of the crew, like myself or Scott Johnson, we're in that both in the same camp. We'll play very straightforward, earnest characters who strive for what they want in a very direct way and tend to not be just backstabbing assholes. And then people like Pete always play the character who's good on the surface, but then does like some crazy, like as soon as Scott's like, all right, I'm the game master. You've accomplished your great task. What do you do now? And Pete's the kind of person who'll say something like, I just try to stab the king right here. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what
I
happens.
just go for it. I got that belief.
That's
Stab
good.
whenever
We need
possible.
that. I need more of that. I wish you would do that.
But
And
Pete brought a little bit. I don't know. I think it's going to work really well for this game because we don't want just Dwarf Fortress. We want some of the burning wheel shtick. But he's basically bringing in the outside world by trying to affect the outside world from the fortress. Which will work, though, because it's going to bring consequences from the outside world back in. Something that real Dwarf Fortress really doesn't do.
It does it a little bit, but not very much.
The most it does is that if one of your dwarfs wanders way out and leads something back, it'll cause chaos. But you're not going to have like a caravan of traders or like dwarf refugees coming in.
Actually, you do. You have dwarf refugees and caravans of traders coming in all the time.
You didn't let me finish. Who themselves, because they went out from the fortress or came in a certain route, lead monsters to the fortress.
Yes, that happens all the time.
When does that happen?
All the time.
Uh-huh.
That happens in Dwarf Fortress. So you don't know anything about Dwarf Fortress.
Because I've never played it. I can't. It's impossible.
So why are you saying things about it you don't know?
Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah.
Have you had a monster follow a refugee in who wouldn't have otherwise come?
Yeah, like if there's a monster just like out in the in the distance, and the monsters basically when they see something they want to eat, they'll follow it, right? So if like
so it's just like a monster following, but not more strange, far-reaching consequences like a far-off civilization finds out about the fortress because you gave something to a caravan.
No, but caravans show up and then they might be followed by something if it's out there.
Yeah, it's weird because the real Dwarf Fortress, as complex as it is, at the same time seems to almost belie itself by an extremely restricting simplicity of action.
That's it's a lot of just separate systems that all interact with each other in interesting ways, and because there's so many systems and each system while ranging in complexity is actually fairly detailed or perhaps overly detailed in some instances. Very interesting things just sort of happen like that. Like there's a monster system. Monsters will follow things that they can eat, and try to eat more things if it's a big monster. And at the same time, there's another system. Every X months, every X seasons, traders will appear and head towards your trade depot. So if these two systems working together, right? Monster, traders chasing to the trade depot, monster in the trade depot, monster in your fortress. Oh no.
Of course, it is still interesting about how by abstracting all of that and adding just a tiny bit of human intelligence, not even that much, you basically accomplish the same stories by just using Burning Wheel to do it.
Yeah. I mean, part of the things, though, is that, like, a lot of the stuff in Dwarf Fortress that makes no sense, you start to realize how little sense it makes when you start playing a Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
It's like the rate at which they excavate and the ease in which they excavate, it's like, no, not really. That's not going to happen. You're not going to dig, like, gigantic tunnels that are really complex so quickly. That just doesn't go.
Yeah, of course, what we haven't done in the Burning Wheel game that I think you really need to do more is really, because Burning Wheel has very specific rules about how long it takes for things to get done.
Yeah, but it's hard to figure that out.
Yeah, but you just kind of wing it and give people turns or something, because excavating a cave is like a week-long endeavor.
Yep. It's, but it's like, how do I know how long excavating a cave takes?
Well, just wing it. It takes a week.
Well, maybe it takes a day because you're awesome dwarves.
Well, do you want it to take a day instead?
I don't know how long I want it to take.
Well, you should decide that before you DM a game of Dwarf Fortress.
It's not easy.
What I do want...
Because the thing is, the right answer, right? You think in D&D, right? The right answer to that question would be, well, how long does it take to excavate? But the right answer in Burning Wheel is not how long it actually takes to excavate. The answer is, what length of time would provide the best story? That is the correct answer. So I don't know what which length of time that would be.
Of course, that's in standard Burning Wheel. With a game like Dwarf Fortress, we're bridging the gap between just a role-playing game where we want interesting immersion story to happen and a simulator. I mean, there's certain elements of us who want to play Sim Dwarf, and we want mechanical effects of the mechanical actions that we take.
But then we got to start like doing all sorts of Excel spreadsheets and shit.
But you don't have to do a lot. That's why I think a really elegant way to do that is to have stats for the fortress that can be called upon, like dice pools.
I hate making up rules.
But they're so easy. I already made them up. They're done.
Yeah, but I hate like just throwing in rules that like haven't been tested yet.
Just wing it. I mean, we've learned with games like Power Grid that half the time it just works out anyway.
Because who knows what kind of weird thing's gonna happen that I won't be able to like undo, and then someone's gonna make trouble.
Who cares? That'll just be awesome. I mean, what are we gonna do? What? I accidentally get a bunch of mithril, and then because of a bug in Scott's brain, I forge an awesome sword.
That's no good. Can't let that happen.
You have the power to patch those bugs quickly and easily. A dragon eats my sword. A dragon eats me.
No, then we're going back to D&D land. I got to stay in Burning Wheel land.
But then you need to use the rules. You can't just use what you're bringing to the table. You got to have rules to do it all.
Yeah, the other problem is that, people are so arguey. Like if I come in and I'll be like, look, the obs is 5. People are like, oh, fuck you, the obs should be 3. It's not that hard.
People. That was one person who will go unnamed.
And it's like
90% of the arguments came from 10% of the dwarves.
I'm just saying, it's hard to, if people are going to be fighting with me, it's like, look, I don't really want to, be doing that.
The other thing there is
for D&D GMs
you're forgetting a very important
players.
aspect of Burning Wheel game mastering, and even any game mastering, is that you've got to, even if you just make up an obstacle off the top of your head based on nothing, if you say, 4, then immediately everyone in the room and the meta level knows you just fucking made that up and you didn't have any basis for it. And they feel a little bit cheated because they feel like, all right, he made up an obstacle, so it didn't really matter what my skill was because he probably made it up by looking at my skill and then deciding what percent chance he wanted me of succeeding or something like that. So they feel subconsciously like advancement won't matter, or that you're just arbitrarily setting them up to succeed or fail or something like that. You've got to always sound like you had it written down. Like you knew. Someone's like, what's the obstacle for me to dig a 10-foot by 10-foot square into the side of this basalt wall? And you got to look at them and say 5.
I think the other problem...
Or you say 4 plus 1 obs because of, and just say some gibberish.
I think the other problem, right, is that a lot of times it'll be like, it won't just be a Boolean situation, right? It'll be a how well do you want to do it situation.
See, no,
but it's not an open-ended test, right? So it's like, okay, you want to do what? You want to climb the tree. Okay, well, do you want to climb the tree without hurting yourself at all and get all the way to the top quickly? Or do you want to get to the top of the tree?
You're already making a mistake, though. Burning Wheel handles that already with the, working quickly options. If someone wants to do something, they say, I want to dig a cave this long. I want to climb a tree or whatever. I think what you should do is just say, obs whatever. And by the degree of their failure, decide how dire the consequences are if they fail.
Yeah. But it's like,
and otherwise, pretty much give them whatever they wanted if they succeed.
Yeah, but it's like I'm sort of, it's like if I give someone options, like, you want to do it better,
don't
then the
give them
obs is
options.
higher, and if you want to do it less good, then the obs is lower. Then what they do is they just pick the obs that they want to succeed at, and not,
No, well, the way around that is very simple. Artha and beliefs. The way I do it is anytime I give someone an obstacle, at least when I run like the sword, which is the only Burning Wheel I've run in recent memory at all. Or ever, I give them an obstacle. If they balk at it at all, I say, well, and I give them a lower obstacle that is in direct conflict with one of their beliefs or instincts. And there is never a third option. If they want a third option, that's it.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it. It's like, these sort of like degrees of success on a lot of things. It's like they didn't really care as long as they got, something.
Plus, remember, Burning Wheel gives you the option, too, of they'll succeed in the basic way no matter what. If they want to succeed and excel, they have to beat the obstacle, or they have to give themselves obstacle penalties, depending on the skill. Mm-hmm. Like with my masoning and all that, if I want to make a crazy awesome wall, there's rules for that, saying add obs 2, and then the wall is this much better.
Yep. The other thing is that because everyone's dwarves, there's like all these like extra exception rules that we often forget, or
that Scott forgets.
Many people forgot many rules quite oft.
There aren't that many. It's pretty much there's a speed cap on dwarves, and dwarves are bearded.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot more rules than that. There's like dwarven tools give you +1.
Yeah, says that in the book.
Yeah, but also like if you want to make something that is dwarven quality, then the obs is like +2. And if you want to make something where the obs to make it is higher than 3,
then you need a workshop.
And then to make a workshop, you need, and it's like this whole, there's a lot of like all these little things to remember that are sort of outside the default rules, and you're not, it's hard to remember every
See, if
single
I were
one of
you,
them.
I would have made a Burning Dwarf GM sheet before I started with all the
I did.
dwarf
I
stuff.
studied it, but I didn't remember every single thing.
I would have printed it out.
And
There's
some of the
something-
things are hiding in the book in places I didn't notice.
There's something visceral about having a DM sheet, and I have trouble doing any sort of game mastering without some sort of screen in front of me. In D&D, that screen was just so I could lie about die rolls, but
Yeah, I don't need to lie about any die rolls. I just roll right out on the table, as you can see it.
it's interesting how the flow of our game basically went straight along to we arrive and everyone bickers because burning wheel, and what do? Have a duel of wits immediately, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then adversity forced us to, oh shit, we got to get our act together or we're all gonna die. And then we succeeded at something.
Yeah, the other thing is that now that I've got like everyone's, I sort of figured out all the characters, I can totally just like, I'm going to come in and just going to bring like multiple simultaneous horrible conflicts, right? Like, boom, I'm going to come out with it like that.
Yeah,
and people are just going to be like, oh, fuck.
One option, too, whenever you give someone a role where they might fail, is to let them succeed straight up, but not in time. You succeed in excavating the hole, but so-and-so already starved to death.
I didn't want to have someone die in the first.
Yeah, but you get my drift.
Yeah.
But what I want from you out there, the listeners, is that we're trying this grand experiment of striking the earth with burning dwarves in a wheel of fortresses. Did you post our game report in the secret forum or the public forum?
I don't know.
We should post it. I think we'll make a thread about it in the public forum. I want all of you to form Burning Wheel Dwarf Fortress games. Just use the straight up rules. It just works. And
yeah, all you have to do is, you just take the Burning Wheel rules, you make every character, dwarfs, and then you just say, all right, everyone, you go out into the middle of nowhere and to start a fortress. Go. And you just use the Burning Wheel rules straight up. You don't even really think about Dwarf Fortress that much.
But you see all those crazy stories like Bronze Murder, people talk about like the epic Dwarf Fortress game. If you are unable or unwilling to play Dwarf Fortress, you can basically have the exact same thing by using Burning Wheel and your friend's brains.
Yeah,
I want to hear your stories.
All right. I'm sure people will tell you their stories.
Now, on a completely unrelated dwarf tack, we were talking about Dwarf Fortress, and Scott was complaining about how his Dwarf Fortress game that he was playing was really, really, really laggy, like unduly laggy, even with the admittedly bad code of Dwarf Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just way too laggy. And someone made some comment like, oh, well, there's probably a city of undead stuff living under you. That tends to slow the game down.
Nope, no city of undead.
But even if it were, I think I said something like, well, that's just really bad coding. Nothing should slow down the dwarves. Like, nothing meta should slow down your dwarves.
Yeah.
The dwarves making decisions or, like, making your hallways too narrow or something like that shouldn't slow down the game. The game
is just really poorly coded. We've discussed this. Even when we had the creator of Dwarf Fortress on the show, we asked him, like, why don't you open source this so people can fix it up, and he just won't. And
Yep. But the conversation went in a direction, and finally we're like, you know what? We always say things like this, and our motto is usually put up or shut up, or put up and then trick someone else to continue putting up and then shut up. But someone suggested it, and the discussion happened, and we now have a Geeknights coding club. We'll see how long this goes, but a bunch of listeners, and Scott kind of laid the groundwork, are trying to make a Dwarf Fortress-like game completely open source, MIT license.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, this is one of those situations, I think, that's like Dude Bro, right? It's where flame war begets work. I think this is really sort of like the rule and perhaps the solution on the internet, right? Is if you see some flame war or, typical internetness, basically your choices should be, right? If you care about whatever this flame war is, then you have to do, right? You have to do some creativity or some work, and that wins the flame war. Like, making Dude Bro, that wins, right? Or, if you're arguing with someone in an open source project somewhere and they say, the kernel should use this scheduler. Oh, the kernel should use this scheduler. Whoever writes the code and it works is probably going to win, right? So this is yet another instance of we were saying, look, Dwarf Fortress is coded like shit. And someone in the forum was trying to say it wasn't. And I don't know why they thought it wasn't, because it is. it's pretty obvious to pretty anyone who knows anything about software that the code of Dwarf Fortress is probably like the worst in the universe. And if it was coded properly, it would probably run so fast you couldn't even see the dwarves moving around. Like, you know, really SimCity 2000 on cheetah mode on a modern PC, and it's like, and it's like 1,000 years pass by in like a second because it's so fast. That's probably how fast Dwarf Fortress would run if it was coded properly. So we just started kind of making it kind of sort of.
Yep, the working title is still Project Dwarf. We haven't decided what Dwarf stands for yet.
I don't know. It doesn't have to stand for anything. But, you know, it's not like we're trying to compete with Dwarf Fortress, right? We're primarily, you know, we're sort of, you know, we're trying to learn different algorithms because, you know, Dwarf Fortress actually is a pretty good, you know, it has so many different systems. The water flowing system, you know, the dwarves moving around system, the dwarven AI system, you know, animals moving around, caves caving in, you know, all sorts of, you know, making things out of different materials, terrain generation, all sort weather. It's got so much stuff going on, right? All these different systems are actually, you know, make for really interesting algorithms that need to be written, you know, pathfinding and rendering and all sorts of stuff. So if you want to learn different computer science stuff, you know, making a Dwarf Fortress-like game is a good opportunity to learn all these sort of different fundamental and not so fundamental algorithms and computer science techniques.
So even if this project doesn't go anywhere, a lot of the listeners are going to learn a lot about coding. And
I hope
like,
so.
Even right now, I mean, a lot of them have learned about Git, at least a little bit.
That's the thing is I made a how-to to set up the Python environment. I made some screencasts. They're on YouTube, but I got to make some Git how-tos because people don't know how to use it, really.
I'm not even, I mean, even at work, I use Subversion for everything.
So bad. You can use Git to talk to Subversion, then you don't need Subversion.
Yep.
If the other person refuses to make a Git repository, you can just use the Git client and then with Subversion. Anyway.
But I mean, for now, at best, I see this being a long-term project of becoming eventually a generic fantasy world emulator.
I don't know if it'll even be a fantasy world, but you know.
Or just an object emulator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like maybe we should just make an engine and then you could make the game, take the NS2 path. If you make an engine and then the game is written in Lua or something, you know, the game is separate. So then people can make all sorts of Dwarf Fortress style-ish games, you know, of their choosing.
Maybe Elf Castle?
Yeah, maybe have like, you know, some plugins, you know, so people can make a plugins for it, you know, like, oh, you know, here's a weather plugin, here's a I don't know, a cars driving around on roads plugin. Here's a train plugin.
I'm mostly interested in the procedural content generation side of it. Like the idea that you have areas of a world, you know, maybe theoretically an infinite world or a large world that are unexplored and thus not computed, or computed like abstracted from the point beyond which you've ever experienced them. But then once a human sees or interacts with directly any part that was unexplored, it is procedurally generated, and then from that point forward is persistent and part of the world. So the world only grows as a human has seen it, because until a human sees something, there is no reason to actually simulate anything beyond that boundary. You might as well just abstract it and remember everything you've abstracted so that can be made consistent with whatever is quote unquote discovered behind it.
Yeah, all right, so get on that, Mr.
Yeah, I'm saying like that, because the whole point of my losing should be fun the first time I ran into PAX was the whole idea that procedural content generation is the holy grail right now that'll change everything. Like, it'll vastly
I don't know, there
change.
was that Love FPS game that was procedural, and that totally did not work out so well.
Yeah, well, because it didn't do everything well enough and in the right directions.
You didn't even play it, did you?
No.
So what do you know about it?
Because clearly it didn't.
You seem to like to make a lot of claims about things you haven't played and don't know anything about. Have you played it? I played the alpha.
Did it procedurally generate an entire world?
Procedurally generated the entire game map.
Yeah, and was it any fun to play on? Is anyone talking about it still?
It wasn't fun for many reasons.
Yeah, and now it's probably gone.
No, it's around.
Well, gone as in no one plays it but the hardcore elite.
I don't think anyone plays it.
Then it's not around. That's like a tree falling in the woods by itself. If an Xbox is alone in the woods turned on, with one guy playing by himself, is he really even there?
Maybe. It depends. Is he online? I mean...
So, we've basically stricken the Earth in two completely opposite directions, and they both involve dwarves in some capacity.
Yeah, I just want people to remember that, you know, when there is internet arguing, you should either counter with making something or just don't. And then the internet will be fixed. So we can fix the whole internet, people.
And if you want to help us out with this Project Dwarf thing, we'll send a link. Just, join in. It's totally free. It's open. It's MIT. If you think we're
And as long as your code doesn't suck,
And you know what? If you realize that we're all dumbasses, you can just fork it and go nuts.
Yep, do whatever.
God, forking a project this early is kind of... That's like forking Hello World. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.